left of all of us. That's over with Christy Bivens.
That was the most tired I've ever been in my entire life hopping out of a race car.
Carolina, the constant contact forward. Please welcome Jayson Alexander.
I'm Jayson Alexander. I'm from Apex, North Carolina. Let's get it. Let's get the photos. Racing is nothing that's in my family. Never been discussed about, never been talked about. I was the only one that's ever really interested in it. My earliest memories of racing are playing Gran Turismo 1 and 2 on the original PlayStation, PS1 and PS2. We would play that as kids. I'd play with my dad, and we had a really, really janky wheel with a little wood frame that we had built to simulate kind of a cockpit. So I would do that, primarily doing like a rally style racing, and that was my favorite, running on dirt. And so that's the only racing experience I ever had growing up. Never ran go-karts or anything like that. I always wanted to, always was told no. So the best thing I had was just, running racing video games. I had never gone to a NASCAR race before. I was lucky enough to have a chance to go to Italy and visit the Ferrari factory. I think early middle school. I got to drive on the Ferrari simulators there. So that was my first time doing a big simulator style type driving, and that went awesome. So that kind of really sparked a little something inside of me for sure. I started playing lacrosse in 7th grade, and I really started taking it more serious my sophomore year of high school. But I played lacrosse and football all my time through high school, and those were kind of my #1 priorities when I was in high school. Was just high school athletics as a whole. I really loved the fast-paced nature of the game. It was physical. It was honestly something I started off because my football coach told me it's something I should do, just in the off season, just to stay fit. I ended up falling in love with the game. A lot of fun. My dream position was to play goalie. At the time in middle school, I wasn't able to play goalie. I had other goalies on the team. I got to high school, I needed a goalie, and I tried out for that and didn't look back. All my years in high school, we were one of the best teams in the nation. Going in as a freshman, we were the 12th ranked high school team in the nation. Went 42-0. For the first 2 seasons of me being in high school. Went to the state championship my freshman year. It was really awesome, being kind of at a powerhouse in high school for sure. I got to my senior year, I ended up becoming an all-state goalie, 3rd-team all-state, all-conference goalie, all-region goalie, just all across the board. It was really good. Kind of went through, during COVID, his junior year is kind of when everyone starts getting recruited by colleges and to go play the next level. And the same thing happens even in COVID. When I hit my junior year, it's just all sort of more virtual style recruiting. So I only had a handful of games for coaches to look from. I enjoyed a really nice and long recruiting process till I ended up signing the school, Queen's University of Charlotte. It's been awesome. I'm actually going to my senior year now at Queen's, so it's been quite a journey since being here. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it playing college lacrosse. When I first got to Queen's, we were a Division II school. Then after my freshman year, we transitioned to Division I. So this will be our 3rd year competing at the Division I level. And uptown Charlotte, right where everything happens, is really, really cool. But also, I'm right in the backyard of NASCAR country, which is, ultimately was a big deciding factor for me to go to school in Queens. Another big passion of mine, going through high school and getting to college was trying to figure out how I could pursue a career in the military. That was something that I was really, really interested in, specifically going through my time in high school. I really enjoyed the idea of being able to serve my country and be able to represent something kind of bigger than myself. And this is kind of before all of racing happened, and my kind of pathway, I thought, to what I wanted to do in my career is become a pilot in the military. That was my goal, was actually to be an Air Force pilot. I went to an air show about my freshman year of high school, military air show at a base here in North Carolina called Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, where I got to meet some F-22 pilots and watch them fly. And I was like, this is kind of the coolest thing I've ever seen. So then I kind of started to dive into how could I have a career in the military. So then I was left figuring out, okay, how can I also serve, play collegiate athletics, do all that stuff, which then led me to the ROTC programs. And what ROTC is, lets you go to a school, whatever school you want to go to, you can get a scholarship, and you get to do your 4 years at your school while also doing military training at the same time, and then you get to graduate and commission into whatever branch that you did. So originally my goal was to go into the Air Force ROTC, and then I did more research and I found out that not a lot of flight spots get to go to Air Force ROTC cadets. The Academy gets all of them. And actually Army has more flight spots than all of the other branches. So I was like, great, I guess I'm gonna go Army and I'm gonna go try and become a helicopter pilot. Well, I ended up deciding on Queens. Our ROTC program's over at UNC Charlotte, about a 35-minute drive away. So I just make sure my coach is aware of that. Sometimes, I may have missed something because I have Army ROTC. So I joined Army ROTC, did that for a year, 2 years, and then I also enlisted into the North Carolina National Guard, kind of to secure my spot of where I kind of wanted to be, what state I wanted to be in. This kind of started happening around the time, a lot of racing stuff started taking off, so I wanted to cement myself in North Carolina so that I could stay, in the world of racing while also trying to pursue my goal of flying in the military. It can definitely be overwhelming with all the stuff that I'm doing, whether it's, ROTC, racing, school, athletics. So I really try and focus on prioritizing what I do in that moment. I learned the hard way that you cannot do everything at once, and if you want to be successful at something, you've got to put that thing first. When I get to lacrosse season full time in the spring, that's the number one thing I'm working on. When I'm off, when I'm in the fall, okay, maybe I can put RTC a little bit higher. We have more events I can go attend to offset me missing stuff in the spring. It's all about just planning and time management. Being in the military has just taught me so much already in my short military career, and I'm super thankful for the opportunities that it's warranted me. Some of the biggest stuff it's taught me is leadership. In Army ROTC, our motto is leadership excellence. So, from your day one of getting there, it's being taught to become a leader. We're becoming officers in the military. Our job is immediately coming in as a leader and taking care of soldiers. When I got to college, I was like, okay, I'm here now. I'm in Charlotte, in the land of NASCAR. How can I get involved in it? So I ended up just reaching out to a bunch of different teams, seeing if I could just get in the shop and work for someone. The Truck Series team ended up saying, hey, we're taking on interns, why don't you come on board and see if you can work for us. So, for months, I was, sweeping floors, taking out trash, cleaning up the trucks, just whatever I could do just to peek my head in a business meeting or to, see kind of how racing worked. I wanted to drive, but I had no idea how the industry worked in the first place, so I needed to go find some experience. Eventually, I just got the itch to race so bad that I just went through a list of, every ARCA team that I could find, every late model team that I could find, and I shot them all a DM like, hey, this is me, like I want to drive. I have no experience, but if you might be interested, give me a chance. And eventually one team got back to me and they said, hey, why don't you come out and test our car for a day at Hickory Motor Speedway. Ran around, ran some laps, got behind the wheel of a pro late model. First ever time driving a race car, straight into pro late models. So not many people hop into full-size race cars right away. Did a good job, ended up getting to run some races for that team for the next couple years. First ever race I ever had was a pro late model race at Anderson Motor Speedway. Not too much to talk about. We caught on fire in qualifying and had to get pulled out of the car, put the fire out, fix the car up, and then during the race we ended up losing our brakes completely about 20 laps into the race, but somehow we managed to finish. So, first race, finished top 10, that's all you can really ask for. Survived it, that was the big thing, just had to get through. I think it was awesome being able to start in such a competitive series like the Carolina Pro Late Model Series. Like, I have raced against several drivers who are now currently racing in NASCAR. There were several drivers that were in the Carolina Pro Series against me that are, winners in the Carolina Pro. They're running in NASCAR full time. There was already drivers who were in NASCAR then came down to Carolina Pro. It was just, I was well underqualified to be there, but I got to see some of the best racing. I got to race against them every single weekend, so that was really awesome and such huge for my learning and development, to kind of see how the pros do it and try and copy and learn tendencies from there, because I had no real life racing tendencies or experiences. So being able to see how the best of the best competed, especially on the stage that we were, was really awesome for me. The decision to go ARCA racing was not something I thought I'd ever have the chance to do. Back in my mind, I was like, if I ever ran one ARCA race, I could retire, be happy. That'd be the dream come true. Especially for how late I started racing. Not to mention I started racing at 19 years old. Most of these kids start racing at 6 years old. So it's very, very unlikely that I got to where I am now today. So about last season there was a couple races at the end, and I kind of decided I would try and find a sponsor for those races in ARCA, see if I can go out there and run them. I was unable to find a sponsor, but a company that I made a connection with ended up deciding they wanted to sponsor me this year. It's an amazing partner of mine called Constant Contact. They are massive for support in small businesses, across the nation. They are one of the largest email marketing and marketing companies, in the country themselves, with thousands of small businesses that they help, and they've just taken so much, care and effort to kind of build up my brand. And Jayson Alexander Racing is a business in its own, and pour resources into that to make sure we succeed as a business and as a brand. So I could not be doing it without their support, but they wanted to come on board for us this year, and they said, we love your brand, we love what you're about, and let's figure out what races we can do for you. So super thankful for them, but we decided that let's look to 2024 and see what race they might want to do. Well, on the calendar, they circled Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's what they wanted to come on board and sponsor. And I was like, well, that is the hardest race on the calendar. That's going to be a massive race. It'd be a dream come true, being a North Carolina kid, Memorial Weekend, being in the military. I would love to go run that race. Let's go do it. Come to find out, I can't necessarily run Charlotte unless I am approved and run some smaller tracks first. I had to go and find myself a team to not only run Charlotte with, but to run some other races with as well. So it led me to an awesome team called Fast Track Racing, owned by the one and only Andy Hillenberg. I processed to find this team. I've known about them. They've been in ARCA and racing for the last 30 years. So much storied history, so many incredible drivers have come through their ranks, and they've been a great bridge for young talent to find their way into the sport and compete in some great equipment while getting that experience without killing and breaking the bank. And I sat down with Andy and I told him what my plans were. I said, hey, I got a sponsor and we want to run Charlotte. He's like, that's awesome. I want you to run Charlotte, but you cannot run Charlotte until you run these other races first. And I was like, okay, great. So let's go find some more sponsors, and let's go do some races. So, through some partners, I had some awesome partners hop on board, some great local businesses in the realm of Charlotte, Selling Pub, and some great family help. I was able to, run my first couple ARC races.
I'm Chris Vanskoy. I'm from Steubenville, Ohio. I'm the crew chief of the Constant Contact Toilet. I went to NASCAR Technical Institute in Mooresville, North Carolina. My father-in-law's best friend has always been very involved in the sport. I went to my first race in 2010 at Brickyard. Had garage passes, and the first time that I was in the garage and one of them fired up, it struck me, and I just knew that's what I wanted to do. I have always been a NASCAR fan, always watched it. Watched the 2001 Dale Sr. incident. I've watched all of it from as long as I can really honestly remember, but my first race wasn't until, personal race that I'd been to wasn't until 2010, and that kind of just did it for me. That's struck me that day, this is what I want to do, and I have not stopped until or since then. Hooked. The speed, the power, when I walked behind that garage stall, I actually want to say it was Jeff Gordon's car. They fired it up and I could feel it. That really has just grabbed me, and it still grabs me every time to this day. Initially coming into the sport, I was an athlete in high school, had always been an athlete from a little kid, baseball, football, wrestling. I wanted to be a pit crew member. I wanted to be a tire changer. I got into it. I made it all the way to Cup in 2 years. Was a lower team, but I made it. I was a very good rear tire changer, at least I'll say that. Most of the pit crew guys now still know me around. I talked to all those guys, and I actually ended up getting hurt. I couldn't do it anymore. Broke my foot. As a rear changer, that's not really a good thing. So I had a plan B, always been mechanically inclined as well, went to school for it. Plan B was, I want to be the boss. I want to go find the speed. I want to be the guy that says, we're going to do this and this is why.
Making some speed.
I've done everything on the race car, front to back. Fabrication isn't my strong point, but other than that, always done everything on them. So I kind of just wanted to, my dad had a phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. I've kind of lived by that. I can do anything on it. I'm not perfect at any of it, but I can do anything on it. And once I got a handle on everything on the car, I figured then was the time to go pursue a car chief job. You're crew chief's assistant. You'll learn more. You set stuff up every week. You actually set the race car up, pull it down, do the whole nine. Just trying to build my arsenal, and this job now kind of just came to me. This is my first crew chiefing job.
All right, back straight. Stop.
During the week, my duties is to make sure everything with my race car for this weekend is coming along. Everything's on schedule. We're not going to be late to load it in the trailer. Nobody wants to work late. Can't be late to the racetrack either. They won't wait for you. So duties during the week, make sure everything is on schedule to be done. When it comes setup time, I fully take care of everything on the race car. Every little thing you can change gets checked and made sure it's perfect. Once we get to race day, it's really just make sure all my guys know exactly what time, exactly when, exactly what to the T that they have to do. And end of the day, really just make sure we finish the race and all my guys do the best job that we can to make the driver in the seat do the best job that he can.
He is the mastermind behind all things at fast track racing. Really enjoyed working with him this year. Just an absolute genius behind there, and just truly knows what he's doing.
I work better under pressure myself personally. Hardest part for me as a crew chief is trying to get my crew, the 5 guys, the 6 guys. Some weeks I've had 3 guys, trying to get all of those guys on the same page.
I made my NASCAR ARCA Menard Series debut at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Such a historic venue with an all original surface on it, super rough. Nashville, you have to just send your car into the corner and hope it sticks on the side.
It's hard to get a driver in the first race you've ever had with this guy that you guys just have this connection. It's really hard to have that. You gotta talk to him, ask him 25 different questions or the same question 10 different ways to get the answer that you want so you know what to do with the car.
So with Chris, we got to work together this year for 6 races, which was really awesome. And I kind of felt like we clicked immediately.
Jason's very good at describing a race car. He never drove one of these the first time we worked together. A little bit harder to drive a heavier race car. He only drove lighter late models. These are about 500 to 800 pounds heavier, I believe. Power to weight ratio a little bit different. Hard to figure that out the first couple times you're on the track.
The track itself, first time going out there, I can confirm in that moment, that was the hardest track I'd ever driven.
First run, I had some things done to the race car that, like you had said, we had never worked together before. That was first day on the job for both of us together. I had some things done to the race car that I personally do all the time. He went out, he didn't really quite know. Not a big deal. First time in the car, I made minimal changes to it. Sent him back out again. I said, that's fine. You don't even really know what you're driving yet. So go, just run laps. Just go see where you're at.
First time being in a NASCAR style race car, lots and lots of power. Can spin the wheels super easily in a really, really rough surface and a really hard track, made for a big learning curve right when I first started.
It's a yacht, like you said. Goes out second run. He says, okay, I think I'm starting to figure it out. We picked up time. I asked him questions. I made one big change that time. Third run, he went out. We picked up a half second. We clicked and just picked up the rest of the day after that. I kind of missed it in qualifying, so I think we started 12th or 13th. Decent sized field that day, 25 cars, I want to say. Racing's different than being on the racetrack by yourself, practicing, or definitely by yourself in qualifying. So racecraft comes into play. He had to learn how to race now against 25 other cars. He gave up a couple spots at the beginning, figured it out. I think there was an early caution and just calmed him down on the radio. That's also a big part of my job as a crew chief during the race. Keep the driver calm. They have to stay out of their own head and they have to stay calm or they're not going to be able to do their job. Got him calmed back down and we restarted and he just took off. We just drove, I think we were up to 5th at one point, late restart, and then we just, a couple guys were faster behind us and they got around us.
It was a dream come true to finish the race. We actually ended up getting a top 10 in our debut race, which is awesome. Finished 8th, just a dream come true.
8th for the first day on the lead lap really isn't a bad day for your first time.
Completely clean car, ran all the laps, but I can tell you that was the most tired I've ever been in my entire life hopping out of a race car. I was so surprised with how much work it took to be inside that car, and those last 15 laps, I was like, just dear God, let the race be over, let us run clean, and let us get out of there. So I was truly happy the way it ended out. When we survived at the end of the day, and I saw Andy, and I hopped out of the car, just giving him a big old hug, and thanked him for the opportunity. I couldn't do it without him, and he's gave me a lot of opportunities this year that I would never have thought to be possible. So incredibly thankful for him and everyone at Fast Track Racing for all their hard work. So after back-to-back top 10s in ARCA, we ended up hitting our goal race of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and overall, it was just an awesome weekend. Be able to spend it with our amazing partners at Constant Contact. They, got the whole executive team out to the race with us. We had an awesome booth in the fan zone. I was there, all weekend long, for the Saturday and Sunday races. Be able to hang out with fans, experience it.
Yeah, that was only his 3rd race out, and first time he'd ever been that fast in one of them. Flat Rock and Nashville are both short mile tracks. Flat Rock's a 1/4 mile actually. Nashville's a half, so yeah, nowhere near that. But Charlotte, you fly there, and on top of going fast, which is hard and scary, Charlotte's not really the easiest place to get around, even for some of the guys that have been racing for 30, 40 years. It's not easy to get around. It's just a hard place. Charlotte was a good experience for him. I feel like he learned a lot that day. Not really the ending that any of us wanted there, but it's okay, not a big deal. You'll have that in big time auto racing.
The race, while it didn't necessarily go our way, we still, learned so much from it and had such a great weekend with our incredible partners that, we said, why not do it again? Yeah, so after Charlotte, we had a great weekend with our partners. They basically came to me and like, hey, we'd love to go see what another race could look like. This was awesome, and I'd love to go do it again. So we threw out some ideas, and they were gonna, think about those ideas. But pretty much immediately after Charlotte, I was then called to go do the culmination of my ROTC training, which is finishing up all my, officer training for the next 35 days in Fort Knox, Kentucky. So I had to pack up my bags pretty much immediately after Charlotte, leave race car life behind and go full into Army mode, to where, I was going to be in an environment, living in the woods, running through all sorts of different operations and different officer tactics, and all this stuff that we've been preparing for the last 3 years inside of the world of ROTC. I had to do all of that while also having no communication to my sponsors, my team, my family, anyone. So we left off Charlotte on a great note, and we were like, hey, let's go run another race. Like, great, so here's some options that we'd love to run. I tossed out Indianapolis Raceway Park, or IRP for short, as a great option, and the race was 4 days after I returned from my training. So that's one of the options I tossed out. But I said, hey, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be able to communicate with you guys. So I had some great partners within my team. I have a great crew that works around me. Shane DiMantova, he kind of runs a lot of the behind the scenes at Jayson Alexander Racing. So I kind of went to Shane and I said, hey, you need to talk to the team, you need to talk to the sponsors, and you got to figure out if we're going to go run a race, because I'm not going to be here, and you'll let me know when I get back if we have to hop on a plane and go to Indianapolis. So the training, it was long, it was strenuous, graduated past it all, but it was a really tough month and a half there, but got through it, got home and found out, hey, we're going to run in Indianapolis. Our amazing partner Constant Contact stepped up and they said, hey, we want to run this race. So just a few days later, I was back on a plane out to Indianapolis from North Carolina to go out there and experience that. IRP is awesome. I really enjoyed it when I first got there. I actually worked the race last year as a crew member for another team. Just that's what I did when I wasn't behind the wheel. I was crewing for another car. So it was so cool going back there as the driver itself and being able to see it. Like, wow, I'm the one who gets to drive this place. Beautiful facility, awesome place to be. Great, just some of the best fans you'll ever see. Getting in there and knowing all these things are going on, it was kind of just a surreal moment, specifically with what I've been doing for the last month or so with the military. It was a big transition switch to now, like, okay, this is like I get to do something really awesome here.
In ARCA, you have to be good at literally every kind of racetrack. We race on dirt twice a year. We race Daytona, Talladega. We race Dover, Bristol. We race a lot of hard racetracks, and then there's a lot of racetracks that are just run-of-the-mill half-mile short tracks, but they all have different character. Just because these racetracks are shaped the same and the banking's the same and the corners doesn't mean the asphalt's the same or the seams are the same. It's really a lot that goes into it.
The first time getting back in the car after being out of it for such a long time, not really getting a chance to run any sim laps or anything before the race. I come straight from training to now getting back behind the wheel of a massive, incredibly expensive, incredibly fast, lots of power race car, that I am now being entrusted the responsibility of taking care of, going out there with, 31 other cars on the track and, millions of dollars of equipment out there and, all, these expectations of, the fans and my incredible partners and sponsors that have allowed me to get to this moment. It was quite emotional just getting back into the car again, because I talked about it. I didn't think if I had the chance to run more than one ARCA race in my entire career. And now here I am on my 4th ARCA race, and it was quite a moment just to get back in the car again for the first time and just take a deep breath, take it all in. You can allow yourself to have a little bit of emotion for the first time getting in the car, but as soon as the belts go on and you put that helmet on, you can't drive with fear. You got to go out there and do what your job is to do and go and execute. You have all these pressures and all these people here to support you, so you can go do what they're there to support you to do. So for me, when I get behind the wheel of a race car, that's when the anxiety stops. I'm anxious before I get in the car, all the other stuff we have to do, but the second I'm in and I'm strapped in, that's when I am the calmest. I had my moment, and then I switched it on. For me and the little experience I had, there was a lot of shaking off the rust and started a little bit buried in the field, and we're gonna have to work our way through that. But yeah, I think a lot of drivers kind of were feeling out to start, Indianapolis Raceway Park, I repeat, can be very unforgiving.
It's big and flat, which doesn't make it easy either. Definitely to keep that momentum, you have to run the top side. It just took him a little while to figure that out. Short track, run the bottom, oh, I can pass him if I'm on the bottom. That place is a totally different animal, just like Charlotte.
And the fastest way around Indianapolis is around the top of the track. So, for me personally, it's like I had to go out there, and not only had I, had to work my way back through traffic, but, I had to go out there and do great with the track and keep the car clean. So for the start, I think there was a little bit of, timidness from a lot of the competitors, and just started picking up as the race went. Very, very fast track. You are at the very end, you're banging down the rev limiter down the end of this front straightaway, so you're giving it all you can. To get it off the corner, you got to plant the throttle down and kick the rear end out and get it pointed straight. So, it's a really unique track, but definitely has a lot of speed, and we got faster a lot throughout the day. This was the biggest field I've been in a track this size, with 31 cars, and overall not a very big track. A lot of us were crammed into a lot of small spaces. So my spotter had to work overtime, specifically when we were with the leaders, we were with lap cars, competing with people in our our own speeds. We had to work very, very hard to make sure we were keeping our nose clean.
Inside by himself, clear. Bottom.
The man in my ear this year was the guy by the name Ryan Honeycutt. He's an awesome friend of mine and an even better spotter. So having a good spotter is everything for me. I think that I would not have had the success I had this year without Ryan's help. He is the ultimate eyes in the sky. He can see things before they even happen, and he knows what's happening in the car before I can even tell what's happening in the car. And he does an incredible job of coaching me and getting us faster. I think, with the limited experience we had, we were unable to get so much faster throughout the year and throughout each race, and that's a huge help to Ryan and a massive part of what he does, and he did a truly awesome job of that.
All right, buddy, clean air here. Remember when we talked about Diamond Lane, 5-3? Clear. All right, buddy, no pressure here, get in a rhythm.
We had a halfway break at or around lap 100 through a 200 lap race. So that's a chance I get to come in. It's a 5-minute non-competition pit stop where you get to go in, you can change your tires, you keep your position, and then everyone exits at the same time. I was incredibly thankful for the chance to come in and just stop driving for just a second, because unfortunately around lap 50 of the race I ended up starting losing all circulation within my legs. It's from a combination of things. To when we had the car set up at Charlotte, it was not a heavy braking track, and so the brake pedal was a lot more forward than what it should have been. Being a big guy, again 6'5", I had to hold my leg all the way up just to keep my foot on the pedal. So unfortunately, because of that, with it's being someone else's seat, I don't have my own seat mold or insert. A lot of drivers get seats custom molded to fit them. I don't have that. I use someone else's. Because of that, and combined with the leg position, I end up losing circulation in my legs, and because of that, I had no feeling in my feet anymore. So the halfway break was a much needed rest to loosen up the belt and get the legs stretched out for a second to get some blood back in them. The rest of the race went really well. Obviously, we were really battling with a lot of physical issues inside of the car, with the discomfort and not being able to feel a pedal. Sometimes you go into a corner and you just have to throw your leg down there and hope you find the brake pedal. And several times I've missed the brake pedal and foul wrecked myself, but it's okay. We got through the entire race with barely not even a scratch on the car. moved up a bunch of positions, finished 18th out of 31. So, it was a good day for us, shaking off the rust. So overall, it was a beautiful night, a great race, a great way to come back into racing after being out of it for such a, a long time. But, definitely when I got out of that car or attempted to get out of the car at the end of the race, it took a little bit of time and there was, quite a little bit of struggle. And once I got out of it, I was quite tired for sure. This whole experience, this entire year has been truly, truly phenomenal. I've enjoyed so much of the chance to be able to race with the greatest partners in the world I can have, and constant contact and all our supporters and awesome family that come out and support us every single weekend. And so it's been a dream come true type of year. I've been able to engage and meet so many new fans. I've enjoyed every second racing in ARCA and being able to grow so much as a driver. And so it's been a really awesome experience. I've been truly thankful to be out here and compete with the best of the best and be with such an amazing team.
I hope we can race a lot more together next year, and I really think he can go places. Seat time is just the biggest thing, and I know he's in school and other things. Life comes first, but seat time is the biggest thing. The more that we can get together, the better he's going to continue to grow and be.
Not over yet. I think the sky is the limit for us. I've got a lot of awesome stuff coming. Have some really incredible partners. So, I'd stay tuned to see what's next.